In fact, remember when I had told you early on, you asked me what my early symptoms were, and I said my left leg went dead when I was sleeping? Right. Well, normally what happens when we sleep, this is the general population, is that our melatonin drops several times. It kind of goes like this when we're sleeping. It goes high when we go to bed, and because the light has we make serotonin during the day. At night, as the light turns down, the sunlight turns down, we turn that serotonin into melatonin. Okay, so we have a high melatonin when we go to bed. That makes us sleepy, want to go to bed, have a high melatonin. When that melatonin drops in the night, it goes like this, from high to low. That swing from high to low puts us into what we call REM sleep, that real productive stage of sleep called rapid eye movement sleep. When that melatonin gets to its lowest, it makes it so the nerves, we call them serotonergic nerves, don't fire. Now that actually paralyzes our muscles, our skeletal muscles. And why it does that is so that we're not jumping out of the bed and running and doing everything we're dreaming about. But when normally, as a healthy, normal person, when they wake up, that melatonin shoots up before they wake up, and so they're able to move. Well, see, I would wake up, and my melatonin hadn't moved up enough. And so I still had, I wasn't totally paralyzed, but my left leg was paralyzed. And so consequently, this results in what we call sleepotonia. And it's very common in MS patients to wake up and all of a sudden can't move something. And then if I get some light on my eyes or something, I could move again. So it's very much involved in the making of melatonin. Now melatonin, another wonderful thing it does for us is it's very good for the body. It's a hormone the body makes. It actually protects us from cancer. You know that MS patients are much more prone to a very rare cancer like glioma. Glioma is only prevalent like 8% in the general population. It's a cancer of the nerve cells. But MS patients have over a 50% prevalence to it. Well, see, melatonin protects us from cancer. It's been proven. You can do a Google search and go into Medline. You'll come up with 10,000 studies on melatonin and cancer. Melatonin is also involved in maintaining the blood-brain barrier. You know, that cellophane that's kind of around the brain and the spinal cord that's protecting it. It can actually lose its integrity, kind of like your skin. Our skin protects things from getting into the body that shouldn't get into it. But if you have real dry, cracked skin, things get in that shouldn't have gotten in. So don't equate permeability with integrity. They're two separate things. Nice permeable skin, soft, supple, it's supposed to be very permeable to the right things. Integrity is a different thing. Now melatonin maintains the integrity through melatonin, serotonin, cyclic AMP, histamine 2, all maintain that integrity of the blood-brain barrier and help to keep it, nice, only permeable to the things it's supposed to be. It also, histamine 2 is also involved in the myelin. Now, in maintaining the myelin. Now, I'm going to tell you something that probably everybody's going to say, oh my gosh, she's gone nuts. I do not believe MS is a demyelinating disease. I do not believe MS is a demyelinating disease.
Myth. MS is caused by a breakdown in the myelin.
If it were a demyelinating disease, then it should look like adrenoleukodystrophy or something like that, a true demyelinating disease, in that if you've lost all your left side, you should see some major demyelination that has happened. And they've never been able to correlate that, right? Okay, what I find is it's a secondary problem. We have a few problems with our myelin here and there, but it's a secondary problem. What happens is, if you don't have enough cyclic AMP, as research has shown, clear back in the 80s they showed this, if you don't have enough cyclic AMP, your oligodendrocytes, which are your myelin-producing cells in the brain and spinal cord, they'll self-degenerate. And if you give them back the cyclic AMP, they'll become viable myelin-producing cells again. They'll start making that insulation again. Now, we have myelinated nerves all the way out to our fingertips. They haven't found any problem with our myelin in our arms and legs and stuff. It's only in the brain and spinal cord. Well, the cells that make the myelin out in the peripheral system, the arms, legs, and stuff, are called Schwann cells. Research shows that Schwann cells will not self-degenerate in a deficiency of cyclic AMP. They just go kind of dormant. So you're not having the problem. Now, this is why I find why you can't really correlate the lesions to the symptoms. Is we do not live with just the myelin we made as a baby. It gets old, it gets turned over, but at a much lower house cleaning schedule, if you want to call it house cleaning, than does our skin or our GI tract, because those take a lot of abuse. You know, our skin's taken a lot of abuse, so it's got a rapid turnover. Our GI tract has a rapid turnover. Myelin now, you know, it only needs house cleaning every so often. Now, it's only when those cells are in that house cleaning mode, when they're scheduled for house cleaning, they are very susceptible to if there's not enough cyclic AMP available. And why that is there's two major second messengers. Remember, they listen inside the cell and carry the message over? One's called cyclic AMP, cyclic adenosine monophosphate. The other one's cyclic GMP, cyclic guanine monophosphate, okay? Now, normally what happens is they're like on a pendulum. And when you've got cyclic GMP over here, when you're swung over there, cyclic GMP stimulates cell division, mitosis, okay? And then it's supposed to swing over to cyclic AMP, and the cyclic AMP says, okay, you youngsters that were just made, you're going to become mature, functioning cells, okay? You're not just going to raid the refrigerator for the rest of your life and live off of us. You're going to do something. Okay, so what happens is we're short on the cyclic AMP. Now, when you've got these cells, they're scheduled for house cleaning. Let's say, you know, this part of the temporal right here area, you're scheduled for house cleaning of your myelin. So you got a few cells scheduled. So what do? They go to cyclic GMP, they make some new cells. Now, if you don't have any cyclic AMP to swing over, or you're short on, those new cells, they don't function. They don't mature. They degenerate. We're done. We can't make myelin. We've never been given the education to do it. You know, we haven't matured enough to do it, and so this is why you'll see. And then all of a sudden, you know, the body will get some cyclic, clean it up and get it straightened out. And this is why we've never been able to correlate the lesions, because they're sporadic. You know, it's just a sporadic house cleaning, and you caught it just in the time, and it was a little vulnerable there. Interestingly, also, those lesions, which we use the wrong measuring tool for it anyway, it's called the T2 weighted scan. Research shows you, as the Rotterdam scan study showed you, they wanted to look at what the effects of aging were to the brain. And they did the T2 weighted scan, and they found that 95% of the general population has these lesions. Of the healthy, normal population have these lesions, these little white spots. Because any change in tissue composition will cause that abnormality on that T2 weighted scan. It picks up too much white noise. Now, whereas your T1 weighted scans or your gadolinium enhancing, they are much more sensitive and to things, and much more correlate much better to the progression and the disease of MS. Nobody wants to listen to those. Tysabri, which was just approved for MS, they showed no change between baseline and end in both the placebo group and the treatment group in those gadolinium enhancing lesions. But in the T2, they showed a significant difference. That's white noise. T2's white noise. It's garbage. Some of the other things that it's involved in, cyclic AMP, and histamine 2 is involved in. One thing histamine 2 is involved in is stress regulator. Now, stress really bothers a person with MS. That was one of my big questions to the doctor. You know, you say my immune system's attacking my myelin and causing these lesions, and that's causing my symptoms. And we know that stress suppresses the immune system. Why does stress make me feel so bad then? I mean, I am horrible with stress. It should make me feel better. And he said, well, we can't explain that. Well, interestingly, you know the enzyme, I said that in the brain you have trouble making histamine into the histamine 2? That enzyme is a stress regulator.